The courtroom went silent, not because of the verdict, not because of the crime, but because the judge stopped breathing for a moment. When his eyes landed on me, I was just an old woman sitting quietly in the last row, or so everyone thought. At 67, I had learned how to disappear in plain sight. I sat there with my back straight and my hands folded neatly in my lap, the way my mother taught me long ago. My black dress was simple, respectful, the kind older women wear when they don't want attention, when they want to pass through life quietly. People walked past me as if I were furniture, invisible, replaceable. I didn't blame them. Aging teaches you that the world listens less to women like me, especially African women who have spent their lives caring for others, never asking to be seen. They said I was only a witness. Just answer the questions, the lawyer told me. Then you can go home. Home, a word that still carried weight. When the judge entered, everyone stood. I stood too, slowly, carefully. My knees ached, but my heart was steady. I had not come to fight. I had come to tell the truth, even if no one cared to hear it. Then it happened. As the judge lifted his eyes to scan the room, his gaze stopped. It did not slide past me like the others had. It stopped. His face tightened. His lips parted slightly, as if he wanted to speak but couldn't. The pen in his hand froze in midair. For a moment, the room forgot how to breathe. I felt it before I understood it, that old feeling. The one I had buried for decades. The feeling that the past had quietly stood up and walked back into my life. I lowered my eyes. Some memories are too heavy to meet head-on. 35 years earlier, I had sat in another room, younger, frightened, holding my child close, trusting a man in a suit to do the right thing. I never imagined I would see him again. Not like this. Not when my hair had turned gray and my voice had softened. The judge cleared his throat. "Proceed," he said, but his voice was no longer steady. And in that moment, I knew this trial was no longer just about the case. It was about me. When the clerk called my name, my heart tightened. I had avoided saying it for years. Names have power, especially the ones tied to pain. I stood slowly, steadying myself on the bench in front of me. Every eye in the courtroom turned, curious now, finally noticing the woman they had ignored. "Please state your full name," the clerk said. I took a breath and spoke it clearly. The sound of my name did something strange to the room. It didn't shock the lawyers. It didn't move the jury. But it broke something inside the judge. I saw it in his eyes. Recognition. Not the polite kind. The painful kind. His shoulders stiffened. He leaned back slightly, as if the chair beneath him had suddenly grown uncomfortable. For a brief moment, the authority left his face, and what remained was a man confronting a memory he had hoped would stay buried. 35 years ago, I was not an old woman in black. I was young. I wore white uniforms and carried hope in my pockets. I worked long nights as a nurse, saving lives while my own quietly unraveled. I trusted the system. I trusted men in suits. I trusted that truth would protect me. I was wrong. One accusation, one lie, one moment where silence was easier than justice. And the man who chose silence was sitting above me now. The judge swallowed hard. "Do you recognize this witness?" the defense attorney asked carefully. There was a pause, too long. "Yes," the judge finally said, his voice low. "I do." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. I did not look up. I didn't need to. I already knew what he was remembering: the file he closed, the evidence he ignored, the young mother he let fall through the cracks to save his career. I had paid for that choice with decades of struggle. Cleaning jobs, night shifts, missed birthdays, quiet tears when no one was watching. Yet here I stood, not broken. When the judge asked if I wished to add anything to my testimony, my voice surprised even me. "I am not here to reopen the past," I said calmly. "I am here because the truth waited patiently for its turn." The courtroom went silent again, not because of drama, but because everyone could feel it. This was no longer just a trial. It was a reckoning. And for the first time in my life, I was not afraid to be seen. The judge raised his hand. "Stop," he said. The word echoed through the courtroom like a crack of thunder. Lawyers froze. The jury shifted. Even the bailiff looked uncertain. No one had ever seen a trial pause like this, not without chaos, not without anger. But this pause felt different, heavy, necessary. "I am calling a brief recess," the judge said, though his voice trembled. "This court needs a moment." People whispered as they stood. Chairs scraped against the floor. I remained seated, my hands resting calmly in my lap. I had waited 35 years. A few more minutes would not break me. When the courtroom emptied, the silence wrapped around us like a confession waiting to be spoken. The judge returned first. He did not sit immediately. He stood there, looking older than he had moments before. When he finally spoke, he did not address the lawyers. He addressed me. "I failed you," he said quietly. A breath caught in my chest, not from shock, but from release. Some truths don't hurt when they finally arrive. They heal. He explained what had happened all those years ago. How pressure had closed in. How ambition had whispered louder than conscience. How choosing silence had seemed small at the time until it grew into a lifetime. The courtroom listened as a man in power admitted his weakness. No anger filled me. No hunger for revenge. Only clarity. When it was my turn to speak, I stood slowly. I felt every year of my age and every ounce of strength it had given me. "I carried that silence longer than you ever did," I said gently, "but I survived it." My words were not sharp. They didn't need to be. This was not a battle. It was a closing of a wound. The judge ordered the sealed evidence to be entered into the record. The case shifted. Truth took its rightful seat. Tears fell freely now, not only mine. The jury, the clerk, even the judge brushed his cheek with the back of his hand. For the first time, the system did not protect itself. It protected the truth. As I sat back down, a strange peace settled over me. I had not come to be forgiven. I had come to forgive myself for believing my life had ended back then. The judge looked at me one last time. "Thank you," he said, not as a judge, as a man. And in that moment, I understood something every older woman deserves to know. The truth does not expire with age. It waits. The courtroom felt different after that. Not quieter, just lighter. As if something heavy had finally been laid down. The lawyers spoke again. The jury listened. But the air had changed. Truth does that. It doesn't shout. It settles. The case ended that afternoon. Not with applause. Not with victory. But with honesty. And for the first time in decades, honesty felt enough. When the judge delivered his final words, he did not look at the lawyers first. He looked at me. "This court acknowledges the truth," he said, "and it honors the life that carried it." I lowered my head, not in shame but in gratitude. As people filed out, some paused to look at me. A few nodded. One woman touched my arm gently, her eyes wet. We did not exchange names. We did not need to. Women of a certain age recognize each other's stories without words. Outside, the sun waited. I stepped through the courthouse doors slowly, feeling its warmth on my face. For a moment, I closed my eyes. I thought of the young woman I once was, frightened, hopeful, standing alone with a child in her arms. "I see you now," I whispered to her. I walked down the steps, my back straight, my heart quiet. Not proud, not bitter, just whole. For years, I believed my life had been defined by what was taken from me: my career, my reputation, my voice. But standing there, I understood something different. I was not invisible. I had never been. The world had simply taken a long time to look. As a car passed by, my reflection caught in the glass gray hair, lined face, steady eyes. I smiled softly. This was the face of a woman who survived silence and lived to tell the truth. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of tea. The same table where I once cried quietly so my children wouldn't hear. The same hands, the same heart, but a different ending. Some stories don't end when justice arrives. They end when a woman finally believes her life mattered all along. And at 67, I knew it did.